We're here now at midday Friday afternoon. And now, just an important notification, and that is that the sources I've been discussing, a lot of Hasidic sources, this idea that Mashiach is an element that comes on Friday, the most appropriate time. Again, Mashiach could have come much earlier in history. If Yidden would have done tshuva, Mashiach could have come a moment after the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. Chazal actually tell us that when the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, Moshiach was born. The reason for that is Moshiach had to be available to redeem the Jewish people if we would do tshuva, immediately. That's, however, called achishena. That means Moshiach is coming before its time. However, if we're looking at the most opportune time for Moshiach's coming, it is an Elef Hashishi. I'd like to share with you a Zohar, fascinating Zohar, because people make a mistake a lot and think that Moshiach is something that happens on Shabbos, on the 7th millennium. And for that, we still have over 200 years until we reach the 7th millennium. We're now in the year 5778, still 222 years. Way too long for us to wait. So here's an interesting passage of the Zohar. The Zohar says in Bereshis that Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Akiva was a student of Rabbi Eliezer, were once walking on the road, and Rabbi Akiva asked his master, Rabbi Eliezer, why did Hashem create the human being last? After all other creatures, he created the human last. And Rabbi Eliezer answered him an answer, for whatever the answer was. Then it says that Rabbi Eliezer put his hands on his face, and Rabbi Eliezer started weeping. Rabbi Akiva says to Rabbi Eliezer, my Rebbe, my master, why are you crying? And Rabbi Eliezer says, on this that you asked, on the question that you asked, that's what I'm asking. That's why I'm crying. You see, the man, when Hashem created man, that man is referring to Moshiach Tzedkenu. He's the ultimate human. And I'm going to read the passage. Rabbi Eliezer says, Chazis, I saw a vision. V'kashya mila, it's very, very difficult for me. Akiva, my dear student Akiva, man yiskel ahai orcha de galusa des Mashiach, who is going to merit for this long galus, for this long exile that's going to prolong so long? Dolo yakim barnash, the asid limte la nana shamaya, the human being who's going to come with the clouds of heaven is not going to come ad yoimish tisa until the 6th day of creation. Tuhu b'shis elef shnin, which is within the 6,000th year. V'loi ba'ash lamuse, these words are very important, but not at the completion of it, not at the end of the 6,000, but during the 6th millennium. Barbit koif b'tshuva, if we do a very strong tshuva, Mashiach can come earlier. The shultana de barnashahi leisa elo b'shtisa, the shultan, the dominion of Mashiach Tzedkenu is in the 6th millennium. And he prepares the world to enter into the highest state, which is the 7th millennium, which is Yom Shekulei Shabbos. So we don't really have that much time left. And as we said earlier, it takes place on Friday. And where are we standing right now on Friday? I did mention that the Hasidic sources I've given you before, but the Vilna Gaon speaks about this extensively. And he discusses all the hours of exactly when Hashem created Adam Arishan. And from that he says you can actually know the year that Mashiach is coming, which actually, according to his calculations, is pretty much right now, the time that we're in right now. So now, let's take a look at the year 1990, which was a very, very, very crucial year. But first, an introduction. The analogy I'm going to be using right now, I took from an article written by Rabbi Tzvi Freeman. I would recommend everyone to look up a fascinating article that he wrote. It's called The Last Day of History, in which everything that I've discussed in the last few videos is about the progress of the world and the progress of time. And both in the Jewish world and also in the secular, he discusses it extensively in a beautiful way. So this is something you can look up at Chabad.org, just Google it, The Last Day of History by Rabbi Tzvi Freeman. Really worth reading. In any case, there he uses an interesting analogy, and which is really, really, really special. You know, when you come into a Jewish home Friday afternoon before Shabbos, you see a scene of chaos. The place is a total wreck. Everything is crazy. is the last thing that this house looks like, that in any moment we're going to come into a time of this magical tranquility and peace. But yet it happens. It happens suddenly in the midst of all that crazy, putting up the potato kugel and the chicken soup, and the kids need a shower, and there's clothing all over the place, and the place is a mess, and it's all happening, it's all confusing, it's all tummuling. Really, 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 it's like with the snap of the finger, the mother lights her Shabbos candles, and it's all transformed. So we shouldn't be shocked by the fact that there's tremendous commotion, and there's a lot of turbulence in the world as we reach the final Geula. Chazal also tell us about the dramatic events that happen in the world before the coming of Moshiach. 1990, a very crucial year. The Lubavitcher Rebbe at that time announced, even though earlier he spoke about Mashiach so strong, he kept on saying that we should cry out Ad Masai, and when we cry out Ad Masai, Hashem is going to answer us, but he never spoke the words that he spoke in 1990. In 1990, his message changed to not that we have to cry for Mashiach, that as well, but telling us that Higiyaz Mangulascha, the time of the redemption has arrived. Because that is exactly, as we mentioned earlier, Friday, midday, serious preparations for Shabbos begin during that time. What happened in 1990 in the world? So here's I'm going to point to a few amazing developments in the world. The Rebbe himself pointed to these developments as the beginning or the signs that Mashiach is actually upon us, the time of Mashiach is upon us. The most amazing thing that happened was the unbelievable sudden collapse of the Soviet Union. Here you had a regime that had a couple of million Jews locked up in an iron fist. There was an iron curtain, and if you speak to Jews in Russia, they will tell you there were Yidden who believed that Mashiach will come, but were not able to believe and fathom that ruthless government, that ruthless powerful, they were so strong, and there was such control by the government that they would be able to ever fall and ever be broken. And yet, mysteriously, and the most amazing thing is that transformation took place without a bullet, one bullet, there was no bloodshed. Overnight, the regime collapsed. And we have today Russia. It's not the perfect world, but Jews are freed, millions of Jews, to learn Torah and do mitzvahs across the Soviet Union. That is huge. That means that a force of gullus, a powerful force of exile, was eliminated to allow for Jews across the world and Jews in Russia to leave Russia, to go up to Eretz Yisrael and the like. Another very, very, very important thing the Rebbe then spoke about was that nations in the world gathered together to defeat an enemy of the Jewish people, and that was Iraq and Saddam Hussein. That he and we see that when war broke out, then he sent, I think it was 39 Scuds. I don't know if you know what a Scud looks like, but basically it's like a school bus coming at your window. You're talking about a huge anti-Semite, a very, very, very dangerous person to the Jewish people. And a whole coalition of nations came and took him down. And the Rebbe said that has to do very, very much with nevuas and prophecies of the Geula. But one more very, very important thing, the Rebbe did not mention this. If you Google the World Wide Web, and you want to know when did the World Wide Web, when was that invented? There was a scientist by the name of Tim Lee, who invented the World Wide Web in the year 1989. He wrote the first web browser in the year 1990, and he launched it in 1991. This corresponds exactly to Friday midday. Moshiach is the ultimate information age. Rambam, when he speaks about Mashiach, characterizes the time of Mashiach as lo ye'esek kol ha'olam kuloi, the world will not be involved with anything else but elo l'das es Hashem, to know Hashem. We had a story just yesterday, the other day, Rubashkin was freed from jail, and it took in seconds. Everybody knew about it. Everybody participated. Everybody was involved. It's unbelievable. As a result of the World Wide Web, and then comes all the other devices that are all offshoots of it, whether it's the WhatsApps and the so on and so forth, and the YouTube videos and the like. Basically, the whole world is connected. One person can actually speak to the entire world simultaneously, connect to everybody. That is a keli for Mashiach. Yes, it's until Mashiach comes, like everything in the world could be used in a corrupted way. The Medrash says that Hashem created gold to be used for the Mishkan, yet how many pagan temples had gold and misused gold before that? So the internet could be misused for a lot of garbage and a lot of negativity, but its true reason why it was created was to herald in and to prepare the world and for the coming of Mashiach, and it will be, its ultimate usage will be through Mashiach Tzidkenu, when the knowledge of Hashem will fill the entire world. To continue in the next video.